Welcome back to Perp Games, and it is week 2 of our summer spectacular, which means the release of Rush VR, the second game that we're publishing from the binary mill. And I'm just going to take you through some of the gameplay here so you can kind of see a bit about the game, see how it plays, and you can also see my new fun pastime, which is picking up a Nerf gun and just shooting everyone with it. It's really, really fun with the foam bullets, but yeah, it's not the kind of thing I expected to be doing in Rush VR, but it kind of just shows you the kind of the flexibility that's in this game. You can actually grab that basketball there and you can try to dunk that as well, which I'm probably going to try and absolutely fail to do apologize for that, absolutely terrible. But yeah, so Rush VR is kind of like a wingsuit game where you've got various different courses, you've got various different levels you can see there. I'm just going to show you from the very beginning, so not much is unlocked here, so you can just kind of get a feel for what you would see when you first boot up the game. And you gradually over time you unlock different courses by polling at better positions, so you can have obviously first, second and third place. Obviously if you get first place you get more points compared to if you end up in third place, and fourth place you get no points whatsoever. So you unlock different courses over a period of time. You've got different environments. You've got like a snowy mountains as well as this. You've got like desert terrains, and you've also, what I really like mostly about Rush VR is the amount of different control schemes are available to you. So for me, I'm actually I'm trying to make this as easygoing as possible at the moment because the temperature is so hot at the moment. So I just thought it'd be much easier to just be sat in my chair. So I'm playing seated, and I'm also being able to, I'm literally tilting my head to move. But you've actually got, you can use the controllers on that. You can just you can actually literally turn to look and turn around that way. You know, and obviously you can play standing as well. So I think it's what I really appreciate about Rush VR is the amount of options that are available to the player, and it's really, really flexible. Some VR games are quite, there's not too many, you can't really change too much about what you do and how it plays. This is definitely not one of those games, and I really appreciate that. And I think as a result of that, it really is extremely accessible for players who may literally look at this game and think to themselves they wouldn't be able to play it. So really like that about it. But as you can see, the core essence of Rush VR is being able to fly through the checkpoints. You're in a race at the moment. There are 4 different modes, but this one is a current race. You have to fly through the checkpoints, get the highest possible score, and try to finish in first place. So yeah, obviously with this as well, there is tricky, so you have to get the maneuvering just right. Watch your trajectory as well when you're going up and down. So yeah, I mean, it's quite a simple premise, but I think for me it's very, very effective and very enjoyable, very addictive as well. Actually, I've spent a lot of time on this, as much as I could in this blistering heat at the moment. But yeah, it's really just been so much fun to play, and I think for me Rush VR is just one of those kind of really entertaining score attack games that you can pick up and play. You can dive into at any point. And it just really kind of, it suits just the arcade. It's a really great arcade feel to this as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously with this you need a PlayStation VR headset, unlike Mini Motor Racing X, which is also a flat screen game as well. This is a pure VR experience, and basically you are literally taking a dive into a wingsuit adventure. As you can see, I actually failed this race here. So yeah, when you fail, you go to the camp and you can just play around with some things there. Unfortunately, if you do hit any sort of obstacles on the way, you will have to restart. There is a bit of a learning curve sometimes with Rush VR. But as I mentioned, dependent on whatever control scheme feels most comfortable to you, I'm sure you will find something that not only makes you as effective as possible in the game, but also, it means you can play it for sustained periods of time as well. But yeah, I mean, essentially you're diving through canyons and mountainsides, there's outcrops, and there's huge drops as well. But there's some stunning environments in this as well. And I think, there's a real sense of adrenaline that comes with this when you kind of make that initial jump and you're soaring through the skies. It's one of those kind of games that only feels like it would work with VR. You could play this flat screen, of course, but I think is that sense of immersion of like you're actually in that wingsuit, you're actually free falling. And to be honest, this is probably the closest I am ever going to get to wingsuiting, because it's not something that I would probably ever feel completely comfortable doing. But as a result of that, it feels very, it's very enriching and it's very enjoyable, and it creates an experience for me, and that's the power of VR. It creates an experience for me that I probably would never have had or never would have in my life. So I love that recreation of it. And yeah, it is really challenging as well. There's lots of different races, about over 100 different races in this. So I mean, there's going to be a lot to keep you occupied over a period of time. Some of the races are going to be tougher than others, of course. I mean, these initial stages are relatively easy, even though I have died, but we'll just ignore that. These early stages are relatively easy. They kind of like serve as a bit of a tutorial, so you can get a feel for the motions, you can get a feel for the environments and how to move throughout those environments. But as a result, as I mentioned, there are multiple game modes as well. So there is obviously the race to the finish, which you're seeing here. There's also a free flight mode as well, where you can basically you can play through the course to your own heart's content. There's no sort of set conditions you need to fulfill. There's no races you have to go up against. It's essentially you just play however you want. You can just literally be in a wingsuit and just enjoy that experience. So I like that Binary Mill have added that in there as well. They've removed the competitive edge and just made this a game that you can play comfortably and however you want to play it. There is a time attack mode though as well. The focus being literally just trying to better your score, just doing better, and just trying to get the best possible score that you can, and that does contribute to the points that you earn as well to unlock other courses. You can see there I've just about finished this race. Yes, and I ended up in first place. Happy with that indeed. Not easy. So that's a really key point about Rush VR as well, is you are spending a lot of the time earning the points to unlock each of the courses. But that also comes with wingsuits as well. So you get unique wingsuits that you unlock and you can equip those over a period of time. You can change the color scheme of that wingsuit. And also you can just adjust some of the kind of the aesthetical changes to it as well. So there's a lot of unlocking that goes on in Rush VR. And I think that for me, it's similar to the way that it's done with Mini Motor Racing X. I think that creates a longer play period of time. So you want to keep revisiting it. You want to keep unlocking things, and I think that that creates a sense of enjoyment. Obviously the premise is relatively straightforward. I mean, you are just trying to glide through checkpoints, but I really do feel that once you've had that initial experience of diving, and then once you're having that initial experience of diving through the checkpoints and you're trying to better your score and you're getting into the flow of the game, you're really getting a feel for it, you really start to get Rush VR, and I think you want to spend more and more time with it. It's one of those games, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, I think. You do also have multiplayer in this as well, which is really interesting. Also, you can actually have up to 7 of your friends online, or you can quick race against random jumpers as well. So if you wanted to play this online as well, there is obviously an online community for Rush VR, and as a result of that, there are actually some trophies that are attached to it as well. So if you're an elusive trophy hunter, then you'll definitely need to be doing that at some stage. But I think it's a nice way to sort of test your mettle against the rest of the world to see how good you are at this. I mean, you think you're getting some decent scores, you've got a feel for the game, and you think, I'm actually not too bad at this. But I think the real test is obviously going online and trying against other people. There is also a free DLC for this as well, and Molten Tropics is basically, it's like a paradise island. There's an active volcano there, which has got lava across the jungle. And this actually, as a result of having Molten Tropics, the free flight game mode is included within that as well. So that was added as a result of the new content, and that kind of bolstered the modes that were available to you within Rush VR. So all that is included on the disc as well. But yeah, I think, for me, Rush VR is just one of those enjoyable, entertaining excursions that, you want to keep revisiting, you want to keep playing, and I think you'll just find yourself just coming back to it time after time as well. And it's just, for me, it's one of those great, entertaining VR titles that just keeps giving and keeps providing. And as I mentioned, I mean, for me, my fun pastime at the moment is just grabbing the Nerf gun and just shooting people with it. I mean, it's such a simple thing, but it's such one of those like nice little neat touches that's added into a game to really kind of give you that sense of enjoyment and fulfillment. And I think for me that's something that you can just find these fun little Easter eggs and fun little things to do within the context of the game, and just kind of just spend some time with it. So yeah, it's really fun. But as again, as I mentioned, obviously I've taken a very simple approach to maneuvering my wingsuit in this, but there are many different customizable options. You can choose which hand you are, so whether you're left or right-handed predominantly. You can choose different accessibility options as well, like the sound can be tweaked. Obviously you can use controllers. You can decide to just literally use your head completely for movement. standing and seated, of course. So Rush VR has a lot of options available to the player, and I think that in of itself just opens up so many possibilities for play, and so many, you can try different modes over time as well. So I mean, you may find that the mode that you've been using for many hours in Rush VR, you might decide, I'm going to try something a bit different, because each of the modes do kind of, I guess, suit a certain level of VR. They accommodate the motion sickness as well. So the mode that I actually chose as well was less motion sickness perhaps than using a controller, and so that just kind of suited me at the moment in this particular time. But you might decide, I want to go for the full extreme experience, and want to make this feel as authentic as possible. And again, that's something, credit to the binary mill for really making all those options available to the player from the outset. But yeah, Rush VR is now available at retail on PlayStation VR. That joins Mini Motor Racing X. Of course, we've still got Gun Club VR to come. That's next week. And as mentioned, you can obviously pick that up at your preferred retailer, so it's available in the EU territories. But you can also pick it up directly from us on the Perp Game Store. And we do still have some limited edition Binary Mill sleeves still available. So if you pick up all 3 Binary Mill games from us on the Perp Game Store, you will automatically receive a limited edition sleeve from us as well to store all 3 games within. So that's a really cool, neat collector's item. And if you've also pre-ordered this previously, we even had some signed inlays for the games as well. So absolutely, I think for me that's a lovely sort of collector's item, for VR players. If you want all the Binary Mill games available, you can have access to that immediately, and you've got a nice sleeve as well, which you can't get anywhere else. So Rush VR is now available in EU territories. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this little look into the game so you can get a feel for it. I'm going to spend my last couple of moments on this video shooting people with Nerf guns, because why wouldn't I? But yeah, thank you for joining us. I hope you're enjoying our Summer Spectacular. Enjoy Rush VR.